Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome, challengers, to day 30. But remember, we're doing 31. So tomorrow's our last day. But this is actually our 30th day that we've been live. So we have gone 30 days. We're just doing one for good measure because I messed up. So that will be happening tomorrow. Can you believe we've already spent 30 days together? That, I don't know, to me, that went by really, really fast. Lots of good things. I know some of you have taken 30 days of notes, and that's amazing. And you know what? Maybe you won't refer to them right away, but they're there for whenever you're having a moment and you're like, what did we, I know there was something when I did that challenge, and you can flip back through your notes and maybe it's just one sentence, one line. I wanted to show you guys my picture of a turtle on a fence post. Isn't he pretty? I just love that. I Googled, I mean, it's not super sharp or clear, but it's art. I Googled turtle on a fence post. There was some live pictures I could have printed, but I really like this guy. And remember, when you see that picture, right, what are we supposed to remember? He didn't get there by himself, right? He had help. And we all need other people, right, at some point in our journey. And last night at our church, we had prayer and we talked about that. And we had a time where we all wrote down a dream or a vision. I was going to show you guys my vision board today, but I'm not where it is. So maybe that'll be for tomorrow. At church last night, we picked a vision, one thing that we're believing God for, and we wrote it down and we all prayed for one another, because that is the perfect time or opportunity, or however you want to word it, where you need somebody else, right? Other people praying for you. So that was kind of a neat moment. I showed them the picture of a turtle on a fence post. I mean, this needs to be framed, doesn't it? It's just so pretty. I just like it. I really like turtle on a fence post. Who would have thought? Didn't know about it. Okay. So we are on our very last habit. He kind of broke it down into 7 habits that we studied. And remember, we did flip the script. We got to kiss the wave sometimes, eat the frog, fly the kite, cut the rope, wind the clock, and now we're on seed the clouds. And we talked about the first day of seed the clouds. We talked about it takes a team. Yesterday we did prophesy your praise, and today we're doing swim upstream. And our scripture reference is Joshua chapter 3, verse 16. The water from upstream stopped flowing. In 1864, there were 54,543 doctors in the United States. In 1864. Only 300 of them were women, and none of those women were Black. That year, Rebecca Lee Crumpler became the first Black woman to earn a medical degree and the title Doctoress of Medicine. Dr. Crumpler moved to Richmond, Virginia, the year after graduation. Stop and think about it. A Black woman moving to the capital of the Confederacy the same year the Civil War ended took tremendous courage. That qualifies as cutting the rope. She endured relentless racism with amazing grace. Rebecca Lee Crumpler made no distinction between medical practice and religious practice. In her words, medicine was a proper field for real missionary work. She wasn't just a doctress, she was a prophetess. On March 3rd, 1865, Congress established the Freedmen's Bureau to provide food and housing, education, and medical care for 4 million slaves who were now free. The head of the Bureau from 1865 to 1874 was a Civil War general nicknamed the Christian General, Oliver Otis Howard. He helped secure the vote for emancipated slaves. He also served as president of the school that bears his name, Howard University. When Dr. Crumpler started practicing medicine, supplies were short and doctors were few and far between. There were only 120 doctors to care for 4 million emancipated slaves. What did Rebecca Lee Crumpler do? She had already broken one glass ceiling, so why not go and break another? If slaves couldn't get the medical care they needed, she would empower them and equip them to be nurses and doctors themselves. Just as Elisha Otis turned the world upside down, Rebecca Lee Crumpler turned medicine inside out. In 1883, she published A Book of Medical Discourses. That makes her the only female physician to author a book in the 19th century. In doing so, she made medicine accessible and available to the average person. Remember the mantra I introduced on day 14? Always think ecosystem. Here's another one. Always go upstream. When it comes to habit cycles, you have to swim upstream. It's solving the problem before it happens. That's why we built the DC Dream Center in Ward 7, an undeserved part of our city. It's a place where hope becomes habit. We're trying to change statistics, and that happens one child at a time. That's how you interrupt the school to prison pipeline. That's how you seed the clouds. Remember the eighth wonder of the world? That's what Albert Einstein called compound interest. We overestimate what we can accomplish in a day, but we underestimate what God can do in a year or 2 or 10. Again, consistency beats intensity 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. You've heard me say that probably. Give it enough time and you can transform your body, mind, marriage, finances, even your attitude. A six-pack may be 100 pounds from here. A marathon may be 475 miles of training down the road. Writing a book may be 50,000 words away. Debt-free may be $100,000 beyond your budget. Restoring your marriage may be 17 counseling sessions from now. The good news, this can be the day when decades happen. 16 years from now, you'll look back on this day as the tipping point, the turning point. 16 years, 16 miles, same difference. So what do I mean? The Israelites crossed the Jordan River opposite Jericho, but the miracle happened 16 miles upstream at a place called Adam. The water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away at a town called Adam. In the last 2 decades, National Community Church has taken 273 mission trips and given more than $25 million to missions. That is the result of a domino chain reaction. But the 2-inch domino was the first $50 check that we gave to missions. If you swim upstream, you'll find a conviction that guides our decision-making at NCC. God will bless us in proportion to how we give to missions and care for the poor in our city. That is how the Jordan River parted for National Community Church. Our worship team has produced 7 albums. Those songs have been sung millions of times all around the world. We have 150 vocalists and musicians on our worship team. But it all started with a $400 drum set that we purchased for a drummer we didn't even have yet. We prophesied our praise, literally. We waded into the water, and God made a sidewalk through the sea by sending our first drummer. Remember the 4.7-mile prayer walk around Capitol Hill? I prayed that prayer a long time ago, but it started a domino chain reaction. The miracle is always upstream. Of course, so is the problem. In therapy, the presenting issue is rarely the root problem. The root issue is usually 16 years ago, right? It's 16 miles upstream. It's out in field 7. Swimming upstream is reverse engineering our good habits and bad habits. If you want to break a bad habit, it helps if you understand the origins. That's how you identify the prompt, interrupt the pattern. You have to connect the dots, A, B, C, D. Of course, we need the help of the Holy Spirit as well. The counselor surfaces things in our subconscious and helps us to flip that script. When you spend years responding to problems, said Dan Heath, you can sometimes overlook the fact that you could be preventing them. Again, the solution is always upstream. Seeding the clouds is sowing today what you want to see tomorrow. Where do you want to be in 16 years? I know that's hard to imagine, isn't it? But that's the point. Everything is created twice. You have to imagine those unborn tomorrows if you want them to happen. If you don't, you have nothing to tip your cap to. Would you take a few minutes to do a stream of consciousness exercise? Grab a pen and a piece of paper. Even better, we have created a Win the Day journal with prompts designed to help you harness the power of 24 hours. By definition, stream of consciousness writing means you start writing and you don't stop until you answer the last question. This sounds like some homework. Don't rehearse your responses. Don't edit as you go. By the time you're done, you will have painted a picture of your preferred future. Ready or not, here we go. Okay, so I should have read this ahead of time. I'm not sure how to do this right now. Okay. I guess you could. Okay, so I'm just going to read them. Are these all the only questions? Let me see. Okay, I'm going to just read them fast. So don't do it yet, but after we're done, go back and watch just that segment with paper and pen and see if you can answer them just like he said. Okay, and I'll do the same thing. Don't edit, don't rehearse, just write as we go. Okay, so where do you live 16 years from now? What do you do for a living? What degrees have you earned? What accomplishments are on your resume? How much money do you have in the bank? How much money have you given away? When you look in the mirror, what do you look like? When you step on the scale, how much do you weigh? What character traits have you cultivated? What is the state of your mental health? How about emotional intelligence, relational equity, spiritual maturity? Remember the check that Jim Carrey wrote? Instead of writing a check, write your own eulogy. I know that seems a little morbid, but it's a healthy exercise. And I'm just telling you, I've heard other people say the same thing, and I thought the same thing, and I still haven't did it. Probably need to do it. I know that seems a little morbid, but it's a healthy exercise. If you want to do a little method acting, rehearse it at a local cemetery. Of course, that exercise is optional. How do you want to be remembered? It's worth thinking long and hard about that question. Resume virtues are the skills that you bring to the job market, said David Brooks. Eulogy virtues get talked about at your funeral. What do you want people to say about you? What do you want etched on your tombstone? In 1888, Alfred Nobel had the rare privilege of reading his own obituary. A French newspaper mistakenly thought he had died. It was actually his brother, Ludwig, who had passed. Curious as to how he'd be remembered, Alfred Nobel read the obit. It called him the Merchant of Death and said that his invention of nitroglycerin was responsible for the death and destruction in modern warfare. That obituary sent shockwaves through his soul, and he decided to do something about it. Alfred Nobel was granted 355 patents during his lifetime, but his most famous invention was dynamite. His invention simplified the construction of dams, railroads, canals, and tunnels. Projects that would have taken decades took a fraction of the time. Of course, his invention had the power to be misused. Reading his own obituary was a ritual of reckoning. Noble decided to rewrite his will and use his $9 million fortune to establish one of the most coveted awards in the world. The Nobel Prize has inspired countless discoveries and advancements in physics, chemistry, physiology, medicine, literature, and peace. The domino chain reaction is incalculable, but it all started with imagining the prize. Consider this your ritual of reckoning. So how do I make this a habit? Set God-sized goals. On a rainy morning in 1940, a teenager named John Goddard pulled out a piece of paper and wrote down 127 life goals. By the time he turned 50, he had accomplished 108 of those 127 goals. He was a teenager when he did that. Wow. These were no garden variety goals. Here's a small sample. Milk a poisonous snake. Learn jujitsu. Study primitive culture in Borneo. Run a mile in 5 minutes. Retrace the travels of Marco Polo and Alexander the Great. Photograph Victoria Falls. Build a telescope. Read the Bible from cover to cover. Circumnavigate the globe. Publish an article in National Geographic. Play the flute and violin. Learn French, Spanish, and Arabic. Honestly, I would have counted French, Spanish, and Arabic as 3 separate goals. He had them as 1. And I would have counted the flute and violin as 2 goals. He didn't. He had it as 1. But that's me. My favorite Goddard goal, visit the moon. Goddard set that goal long before Sputnik escaped the Earth's atmosphere or the Eagle landed on Tranquility Base. That's aiming for the stars, literally. Indiana Jones, the swashbuckling fictional adventurer, said the Los Angeles Times, would seem to have nothing on John Goddard. For the record, Goddard didn't accomplish every goal that he had set. He never climbed Mount Everest, and his quest to visit every country in the world fell short by 30 countries. But if there is a lesson to be learned from his life, it's this. You won't accomplish 100% of the goals that you don't set. You won't accomplish 100% of the goals that you don't set. I share 7 steps to setting life goals at markbatterson.com, along with my list of 100 life goals. I hope it helps you see the clouds. Here's what I know for sure. Faith is being sure of what we hope for. If your life isn't going the way you want it to, it's not too late to rewrite your future. How? By seeding the clouds with God-sized, God-honoring goals. Swim upstream. Wow. So this John Goddard guy wrote down 127 life goals. So I'm just sharing with you something that happened to me. This is sort of being vulnerable, but kind of where I'm at. So I was doing, it was probably November, somewhere in there. I was reading somebody else's sort of habit formation teaching, sort of the same. And she challenged us to sit and write 100 things, like not to figure it out and how would this happen? Don't do any of that. Just sit and write 100 things that you'd like to do, just where you'd want to be, like just anything that you desire in your life, whether it's relationally or travel or actual things that you would like to have or whatever. Do you know how hard I struggled with that? I honestly think I've got the piece of paper. I think I gave up on it at 25. And she did say, she did talk about people that had trouble doing it because it was almost like they have forgotten how to just dream again. She said, if you ask kids to do that, they don't have a problem. They do not have a problem just writing. And apparently John Goddard didn't have a problem either. Oh my gosh. Like some of the things, he was a teenager, remember that. So he didn't have all the responsibilities of life and all of that yet, right? He was a teenager. And those were some of the things that he did. Milk a poisonous snake, study primitive culture in Borneo, build a telescope. But he did all of them. That's amazing. Publish an article in National Geographic. And 127. And I was struggling trying to do 100. I think I feel urged to try that again. I need to find my paper. It's somewhere in my day planner here. I know it because I know I wouldn't have thrown it away. But how many of us have sort of lost that because of life, because of how old we think we are, and yada, yada, yada. Dream again, right? I think we should do that today. We got lots of paper and pen going on today, don't we? But see if you can do it. See if you can just start thinking, and kind of like what he said when he was talking about answering those questions. Again, not to pre-decide and try to figure it out as you're right. Just write things and see how many you can get. Anyway, lots to think about today. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on day 30. I finally saw it this morning. I think it was, maybe it was last night. I looked back and seeing some of you had put in the comments how many days you've actually been joining. And some of you have actually been with us for quite a few of the days. You've been doing the replays, and that's totally fine. Some of you have watched like binge watching like Netflix, where you do 3 in a row or whatever. And that's okay too, whatever. Totally fine. You're getting it in. And if you're taking notes, that'll be the key, right? To help you remember. Because sometimes when you binge watch like that, it's hard to remember all the details. But if you're taking good notes, that'll be helpful. And then all these videos will be on the website too, sort of forever. So anyway, have a great Tuesday, you guys. And we'll see you back here for tomorrow, which is our last day of our Do It for a Day challenge. All right. Enjoy your Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow.